Truly, I want to like something about her. I'm searching for something to like about her. And it's so hard because she suffers from such a rare disorder of being unable to just be a human.
It's just so disgusting was, utilizing Princess Diana, someone who was very well loved in America, and pretending that you were speaking for her from the grave, which is something that Meghan Markle did.
He's also a fox.
Yeah.
Slay the dragon, save the princess.
Yeah, I loved it. Hey, just sending love and checking in.
Never once played a victim, but she is going to cry, and you will like her, and you will see her as a victim, no matter how many dollars it takes. If it takes $88 million for you to believe that she is victimized by being a princess, and by golly, by the end of it.
She wanted the crown, but what she got was a reckoning. When Meghan Markle stepped into the spotlight, she didn't just marry a prince, she married a platform. But now, that platform is crumbling beneath her, and Candace Owens just lit the match. Live on TV, Candace didn't hold back. She obliterated Meghan's narrative in a scathing takedown that has the internet on fire.
Every little thing that ever happened to you makes you a special victim, and no matter how horrendous you act, once you receive that status of victimhood, everyone must understand.
Oh, pull it up, Jamie.
Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, in her first ever podcast interview.
I just threw up a little in my mouth.
Accusations of manipulation, hypocrisy, and performative victimhood, all delivered with biting sarcasm and unapologetic precision. And it wasn't just about Meghan's Netflix specials or failed Spotify deals. This was personal. Candace accused Meghan of weaponizing tragedy, faking authenticity, and exploiting her own identity to climb a ladder she never earned. But here's the twist. This isn't just tabloid drama. This time, it's gone political. The House of Lords is now debating whether to strip Meghan and Harry of their royal titles. Yes, officially. Not a rumor. Not clickbait.
Enough is enough. He has told friends he will strip Meghan Markle of the HRH title.
A real legislative move that could end everything they've banked their brand on. So what really happened that night on live TV? Why is Meghan reportedly furious behind closed doors? And has her golden PR machine finally run out of steam? Let's break down how Candace Owens shattered the fairy tale and what it means for the future of the Sussex Empire. It started with a stare down. Candace Owens, live and unfiltered, calling out Meghan Markle in a moment that wasn't just criticism, it was demolition. With her signature blend of wit and venom, Candace tore through Meghan's carefully curated public image. She mocked Meghan's repeated claims of oppression, questioning how someone living in a California mansion with a prince could still play the victim.
I used to not like Meghan Markle, but now I'm a fan. I don't know. I think she's funny.
Oh, pull it up, Jamie.
Would you ever run for office?
No.
Never.
No.
Never.
Never.
I can't take it anymore. Get out, get out, get out. Uncle, make it end. Make it end.
But the real hit came when Candace accused Meghan of something far deeper: emotional manipulation. Using tragedy, identity politics, and royal drama as stepping stones, Meghan, she argued, has built a brand on being silenced while never actually stopping talking. Owens even slammed Meghan for invoking Princess Diana's memory, calling it exploitative and grotesque. The moment went viral fast. Clips racked up millions of views, and the internet split into two camps: those defending Meghan's truth, and those who now saw her as a polished grifter selling sympathy. Candace didn't just poke holes in Meghan's brand, she lit the whole thing on fire. But the backlash was just beginning.
Look at that face, she's not happy.
Oh, yeah, it's so hard to be pretty. So your life is so hard, you're a fucking princess.
There are times we get together and I'm like, I just want to have DoorDash come in. And you're like, let's make some. And I'm like,
No, I don't want to cook again, Meghan. My God, take a break.
As Candace's takedown spread like wildfire, the public started revisiting Meghan's entire media empire, and the cracks became impossible to ignore. From the Glossy Archetypes podcast to the multi-million-dollar Netflix docuseries, critics began pointing out a pattern. Lots of polished production, very little substance. The podcast was marketed as a celebration of authenticity, yet it felt painfully scripted, over-edited, and emotionally rehearsed. One Spotify executive didn't mince words. He labeled Harry and Meghan grifters, accusing them of lacking both talent and work ethic. And the numbers don't lie. After one season, their Spotify deal collapsed.
Oh, pull it up, Jamie.
The world's biggest victims right now are the Duke and Duchess of Netflix.
But truth be told, no matter how hard I tried, no matter how good I was, no matter what I did, they were still going to find a way to destroy me.
Yeah, nobody set out to destroy you. You destroyed yourselves in this country with your ludicrous, hypocritical behaviour. Truth be told, what you just said is complete and utter garbage.
No follow-up, no sustained audience, and certainly no creative evolution. Then came With Love, Meghan, a lifestyle project so empty, reviewers compared it to an Instagram caption wrapped in avocado toast and California sunsets. The backlash wasn't just about the content, it was about the contradiction. You can't sell realness while hiding behind soft filters and PR teams. What happened next would rattle the entire industry. While the Spotify deal's collapse left a mark, it was Meghan's next move that sent critics into overdrive. American Riviera Orchard, a luxury lifestyle brand launched with jam. Yes, jam.
I'm opening this cylinder now. If you're watching, what a ta-da! Magic moment. I'm going to open it now. Hang on. I heard
a taste of entitlement, greed, avarice and deception.
In the middle of an economic crisis, while families were tightening budgets, Meghan unveiled jars of fruit preserves wrapped in gold-embossed packaging and aesthetic Instagram posts. The reaction? Brutal. What was supposed to feel artisanal and intimate came off as elitist and absurd. Critics compared it to a parody of privilege, promoting edible flowers and velvet ribbons as if they were world-changing innovations.
edible flowers. This is spectacular. Be prepared to take a big intake of breath.
For someone claiming to represent modern feminism and empowerment, selling $20 jam jars felt like a disconnect so wide it bordered on delusion. The tone-deaf launch only added fuel to the fire, reinforcing the narrative that Meghan is out of touch, more concerned with appearances than impact, more brand than person. And this wasn't just about Meghan anymore. With Meghan's credibility unraveling, attention turned to the man standing quietly beside her, Prince Harry. Once the fun-loving royal rebel, he now looked like a shadow of himself, always trailing a few steps behind his wife, nodding along like a human press release. Critics described him as lost, zombified, and completely absorbed into Meghan's narrative.
People want to listen to something that sounds real. They don't want to be lectured about feminism. They don't want to be lectured about what they're doing wrong. They don't want to be told.
I'm sure they will tomorrow. I don't have to change anything about myself. I don't need to work. I'm just going to keep doing all the things that I'm doing that have failed, and I'm not going to take any responsibility. I'm not going to suggest that maybe that might be my fault. No. It'll just all change tomorrow.
His memoir, Spare, painted him as a man wounded by the past, but his public appearances suggested something else entirely. Confusion, discomfort, and a lack of direction. The most cutting commentary came from those within the royal orbit. If Meghan married a platform, then Harry became the mascot. He wasn't leading a movement. He was riding shotgun on a brand. Even his moments of vulnerability, meant to humanize him, felt overly managed. The more he spoke, the more it sounded like someone reading a script written by someone else. And slowly the public began to ask, was this really Harry's story anymore? But the real shock came from across the Atlantic. Just when it seemed like public opinion couldn't dip any lower, a political curveball changed everything. The British House of Lords officially debated stripping Meghan and Harry of their royal titles. What once sounded like tabloid speculation suddenly became real policy. Lord Simon Lee, a crossbench peer, introduced a motion that gained traction on both sides, Conservative and Labour alike. This wasn't Twitter backlash. This was Parliament. The title of HRH, long seen as untouchable, was now on the chopping block.
State of the relationship with his family. He says King Charles will not take his calls, and Prince Harry apparently is desperate for reconciliation, but King Charles is rejecting.
The symbolism hit hard. For years, Meghan and Harry used their royal status as the backbone of their brand, appearing on red carpets, podcast covers, and streaming platforms as the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. But if that title vanishes, so does their golden calling card. And behind the scenes, whispers emerged that Prince William is prepared to rock Meghan's world once he takes the throne. The gloves are off. This is no longer a family feud. It's a power shift. But Meghan's most controversial narrative was yet to be exposed. At the heart of Meghan's public persona lies a carefully curated identity. The silenced outsider, the misunderstood royal, the woman of color battling an ancient institution. But now, critics are peeling back that narrative and asking tough questions.
Well, you can't critique me because I am Princess Diana's son and I suffered this tragedy. Well, guess what? So did William. So did Prince William. And what you are doing to him, what you have done to his daughter, what you did to Charlotte, your niece. I mean, how dare you? You got married, found yourself a prince, and pimped your way into Hollywood, which is where you always wanted to be. Her mother, who is partially black, but Meghan Markle didn't have any of her black family members at her wedding. This is a woman that was escaping her blackness throughout her entire life until she realized that it could be used to her advantage.
Candace Owens delivered the most explosive allegation yet. Meghan only leaned into her black heritage when it became strategically useful. Before marrying Harry, Owens claimed, Meghan kept her black family at a distance, even excluding them from her wedding. But once the media narrative shifted, her race became central to her story and to her defense. Candace called it manipulative, a selective identity switch designed to deflect criticism and amplify victimhood. It wasn't just Owens. Across podcasts, headlines, and comment sections, the debate exploded. Was Meghan embracing authenticity or weaponizing it? And as more people rewatched old interviews and documentaries, the once powerful narrative of struggle began to look more like a calculated script.
Only given to working royals and senior members of the royal family because it denotes a level of I guess, respect in the public, and also it's not a financial thing. Working royals do not profit, they do not use their names to make money. It's an honor to have an HRA.
But Meghan's feminist empire was already showing deeper fractures. Meghan had long positioned herself as a voice for modern feminism, bold, disruptive, empowering. But as her projects piled up, the empowerment message began to feel more like branding than belief. Archetypes, her flagship podcast, promised deep conversations about the labels women face. Instead, it delivered scripted sound bites, celebrity guests politely agreeing with her, and an overwhelming sense of control. Critics didn't hold back, calling the show shallow, self-indulgent, and ironically inauthentic. Even former Spotify insiders claimed Meghan barely participated in the creative process. One executive bluntly said, "She doesn't want to work," and that accusation stuck. The carefully staged feminism, the social justice slogans, the constant invocation of trauma, they all started to feel less like genuine activism and more like a strategy to maintain relevance. Empowerment became a product. But the real backlash came when people realized being inspiring isn't the same as doing the work.
Well, she never stops whining.
Wasn't there some speculation that she was on Epstein's yacht at one point in time? There was like photos with her and Prince Andrew way back in the day when she was like in her early 20s. Wow.
It was planned from the beginning. She denied being interested in the royal family, which she totally was.
Meanwhile, Meghan's latest passion project was about to become a punchline. American Riviera Orchard was supposed to be Meghan's big reinvention. A return to basics, a lifestyle brand reflecting her values. But instead of launching with substance or vision, she led with jam, luxury jam, wrapped in satin ribbons, sent to influencers, and framed as artisanal self-care during a time when many people couldn't even afford groceries. The backlash was swift and ruthless. Critics blasted it as a parody of privilege, tone-deaf, disconnected, and embarrassingly out of touch. Some compared it to a high-end joke, others said it looked like a rejected Goop idea, and while Meghan likely expected praise for her entrepreneurial spirit, what she got was mockery and memes. The public didn't see a hardworking innovator. They saw a duchess cosplaying as Martha Stewart while clinging to her royal name. No mission, no impact, just aesthetic over substance.
Well, she never stops whining.
Wasn't there some speculation that she was on Epstein's yacht at one point in time? There was like photos with her and Prince Andrew way back in the day when she was like in her early 20s. Wow.
It was planned from the beginning. She denied being interested in the royal family, which she totally was.
For someone trying to sell realness, launching jam during an economic crisis wasn't relatable. It was ridiculous. But what came next may be the final blow to the Sussex fairy tale. As the backlash mounted, Meghan's last defense, her proximity to royalty, began to wear thin. What once gave her instant credibility now felt like borrowed clout. Behind every podcast, documentary, and product launch was the same thread: the Duchess of Sussex, But as public and political pressure to revoke her and Harry's titles intensified, so did the realization.
Their 7 years, we have seen basically a catastrophic comedy of errors ever since they got married and then ran away to California.
Without the royal badge, the entire brand wobbles. Meghan and Harry built an empire not on innovation, but on identity. The brave couple who escaped the palace and spoke their truth. But the public was catching on. If you reject the monarchy, you can't keep profiting off its legacy. From late-night hosts to royal commentators, the tone shifted from intrigue to exhaustion. The public didn't want another docuseries or another Raw podcast or more curated vulnerability. They wanted honesty, and they weren't buying what Meghan was selling anymore. Her story was no longer captivating. It was collapsing. And in the final act, one woman would say what everyone else was thinking. Candace Owens didn't just critique Meghan. She said what millions were thinking, but few dared to voice. On live TV, with no script and no filter, she called out what she saw as Meghan's master plan, using race, royalty, and victimhood as tools to climb the social ladder, while silencing critics through guilt and image control. She framed Meghan not as a trailblazer, but as a strategist who carefully merged ambition with outrage, narrative with branding. And when Candace compared Meghan's rise to a calculated power move dressed as a love story, it hit a nerve. The fairy tale illusion shattered. For Meghan, it wasn't just a bad press cycle. It was a credibility crisis. From Spotify's executive takedown to the House of Lords motion and public apathy, her golden platform is now on life support. Candace's takedown marked a turning point, not just a personal blow, but a cultural one. The audience that once leaned in now rolls its eyes. The brand is fading and fast. So the question now is, what's left when the spotlight finally turns away?